Welcome back to another edition of Islanders Insider. I'm Stephen King. We come to you from the locker room once again today, joined by the head coach of Islanders men's basketball, Coach Coaches Wilson, as well as the head coach of the Islanders women's program, Coach Chadwick. We'll also check in with our Islander track and field program today, and a very familiar name to those of you that have followed the Islanders through the years. But let's get things started as we talk some Islanders men's hoops with the head coach, Coach Wilson. Coach, thank you again.
Always good to be with you, Steve.
Always good, always good. Tough break this week. You know, tough losses. Oral Roberts coming to town, as well as Central Arkansas. Different types of games, no doubt, but still disappointing, I no doubt. Tell me a little bit about just an overview of the week.
Well, obviously it's a very disappointing week from our standpoint. We felt like these were two basketball games that we should have won and two basketball games where we had leads. And just kind of let things unravel and slip away from us. And that's the disappointing part. The good news is we continue to make progress, but progress is slow at this point. We've got to become better at controlling tempo, and we've got to become better at key times of recognizing the ebbs and flows of the game, when the momentum begins to shift, and the things that we have to do to seize control again by taking control and dictating that tempo.
In the game against Oral Roberts, we faced one of the, well, if not probably the best player in the league in some people's minds, in Damon Bellholter. And if you look at the numbers, it appears that he has a big game. But at the same time, truthfully, I thought we did a fairly decent job on him. Would you agree?
No, we did a very good job on him. We put him to the free throw line a little bit too much, and that's been a little bit of our undoing. When you look at the foul differential and the number of free throws that our opponents are taking in league play versus what we're taking, we're shooting a very good percentage from the free throw line. But we're just not getting there enough. Our opponents are getting there way too much. And we had some, what I would call, silly fouls against him and put him to the free throw line where he got some easy looks, and that really ran up his numbers as much as anything.
Was he ultimately the difference in that game, or are there other factors that really were the contributing cause to the loss?
I really think it was just looking at an Oral Roberts team that has a little bit of experience, and they were steady. They didn't get rattled by the things that we did, and they kind of stayed the course, stayed within themselves, never deviated from their game plan. In critical times in the ball game, I just felt like we had some guys that tried to do a little bit too much.
Central Arkansas was a tale of two halves.
Well, the first half was probably our best half of the year. We played really good basketball on both sides of the floor. The second half, it continues to be what continues to be the undoing of our team is giving up offensive rebounds, and again, really disappointing because we've preached it, we've worked on it, we've talked about it. It's been an Achilles heel for our basketball team all season long. When we give up offensive rebounds, we give up significant runs to our opponents, and that was a game where Central Arkansas is one of those teams that just plays on momentum. They're athletic, and they make some plays, and they get a little confidence going, and once you let athletes begin to rip and run and play at their pace, it's really hard to slow them down, and we kind of ran into a buzzsaw there in the second half.
Led by 10 at the break, but in the second half, as you said, they got momentum, they got a little confidence, and they also started shooting the ball well, hitting 8 of 12 from behind the arc in the second half.
Well, and that's just maybe a symptom of how well they played or how poorly we played, but the fact of the matter is we gave up 50-plus points in the second half. That should never happen in a college basketball game, and let alone with the style of play that we're playing at this point in our development. That's just something that can't happen.
No doubt. One of the players that did return this past week, though, was Zane Knowles. And truthfully, in the Oral Roberts game, I really thought that you would not have known that he had been down for a bit. He thought that he had played rather well. How do you assess his performance coming back off of injury?
Zane did some good things for us. He did some good things, and we need our post guys to be more of a presence and be more physical. The truth of the matter is our post guys have stayed in foul trouble way too much, and we haven't been able to develop the consistency with Zane being out, with some of the foul issues that Nate Maxey's had over the course of his career. And Dale Francis, he's played well. He got in that starting lineup, and it seems like he's hit a little bit of a plateau. So we're going to have to figure out a way to get those guys moving forward again. And hopefully the fact that Zane has been back will allow him to develop some of that consistency that we're looking for.
Consistency is king, and as you mentioned, that's so important for us. And in the second game of the week, Central Arkansas, you know, we saw one of the better and more consistent performances from Nate Maxey, a gentleman you just mentioned a moment ago. He and Jonathan Jordan seemed to be dialed in together, and we saw that combination of those big exciting plays, that alley-oop that we that Islander fans have become very accustomed to work on a regular basis. He finished with 13 points and probably had one of his better games of the season.
Yeah, he really did, and continues to do a lot of good things for us. Right now, it's just a maturity thing. If Nate can put together games like we saw from him on Saturday on a consistent basis, he's going to be one heck of a player. But the fact is, he's got to develop the consistency, and some of that boils down to staying out of foul trouble. Some of that boils down to learning how to become a better defender at point of attack. When guys go one-on-one against him, he can't just always play for the block. He's got to play to kill the play, to stop the play first, and then the blocks and all those sorts of things will fall into place. But he has shown significant progress. My hope is that he can continue to make progress, and regardless of how we move the lineup around, we can get the same level of play out of him night in, night out from here on forward.
There was always that one voice that would come from your team, come from your practices, come from your bench, that was kind of a calming voice, and it's a guy we miss, and that's a kid in Jake Coer.
Well, Jake, we've been missing Jake since September, and that's been a big loss to us. With his double hip surgery, we knew that it was going to be a lot of ground that we're going to have to make up. Not only is Jake a calming voice, but at the same time, he's a feisty voice. He's a guy that gives you a lot of grit and a lot of fight. He's a guy that gives you offense, and somebody that's been through some of these wars, played really consistent basketball for us at the end of last year, and really dedicated himself at the end of the season and over the summer to getting himself ready and putting himself in position to be a major contributor, and just somebody that we don't have right now. The old expression, you can't cry over spilled milk, we've still got to go on, but we do miss Jake day in and day out. There's no question about that.
There is no doubt. One thing I can say positive is we saw him over the past week, and he looks good, and obviously he's ahead of schedule in his rehabilitation.
Well, he is. He was really banged up over the Christmas holidays, and really disappointed that he wasn't a lot more mobile, but now to just see him up moving around and in full throttle with his rehabilitation, he is ahead of schedule, and we're really excited about the opportunity to have him back.
Louisiana. State of Louisiana this upcoming week as we head out southeastern Louisiana and Nichols. Tell us a little bit about those two programs.
Well, a little bit of contrasting styles. Nichols has traditionally been one of those teams that's going to move the basketball around and work the clock and make you have to earn everything that you get. Southeast is a little bit more of an up-tempo style team, but two teams that have been kind of like we have, a little bit up and down. Probably had a little more success than we have so far in league play. But nonetheless, we feel like these are games that we can win. We're going to have to do some things different, though, Stephen. The fact of the matter is we've got to put together 40 minutes. We've talked about and used the word a lot today. Consistency. It's going to boil down to us being able to dictate tempo and do things at a consistent level, whether it's rebounding the ball for 40 minutes, whether it's executing our offense for 40 minutes, whether it's making shots. Those are some of the things that we're going to have to do to be able to have a successful campaign on the road.
Still a lot of basketball to be played. Does this team have a run in them?
Well, I hope so. When you look at the fact that we've got 7 home games left in this stand before this conference season ends, we've got the Louisiana schools all having to come in here. We've got Sam Houston having to come back in here, and a couple others. We're in pretty good shape if we can just recognize and seize opportunities. I think that's the biggest thing. We've got to go after it. It's not going to come to us. We've got to really take that challenge and show a little bit more grit.
Coach, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Coach Willis Wilson joining us once again here in the locker room, all part of Islanders Insider. When we come back, we're going to check in with our Islander track and field program. As you get to learn a little bit more about our Islander assistant, Hickel Woolery. We'll tell you about that when we come back. You're watching Islanders Insider. Welcome back to the locker room and Islanders Insider. I'm Stephen King once again. Let's check in with our field correspondent, Matt Brady, as he's going to tell you a little bit about something special. Our Islanders assistant coach, Hickel Woolery, an All-American, coming back to the Islanders program.
5 years after being named an All-American for the Texas A&M Corpus Christi track and field team, Hickel Woolery got an opportunity to come back to his alma mater as he was named an assistant coach for the Islanders prior to the 2013 season.
For me, it's exciting for me to see where we've been and where we're going. That's one of my big things right now. Being here for so long, I kind of knew what I wanted the kids to be doing, or what I expected of the athletes. Being around track and field for so long, and it was an opportunity for me to really show all of them what I know from Jamaica and from my experiences doing track and field. So it was kind of exciting for me to come out and show them everything I know, and being an alumni of the school is just a way of me giving back to the university.
In previous years, the coach never filmed. Hickel did all the filming. And then Hickel would review the filming with the kids to show them what they're doing technically wrong, technically right, so he makes some improvements on their technique. In addition to that, he's real solid in getting them to do the physical conditions that's necessary so that they can actually use the technical improvements.
Though Woolery is tough on his student athletes, they believe it is going to lead to great accomplishments for the Islanders.
He's just someone who would motivate you, and just knowing his past as an athlete and knowing that he himself knew what to do to get to where he wanted to be. And I just look at that and it motivates me to push further to get to where I want to be. Personally, he's taught me to push past my limits, because past years, it's when I break down, I just completely break down, and he's taught me to really get after it and be strong mentally.
As compared to last year, I think we've had a lot of changes. Dedication-wise, we have to put a lot more time into it. Hopefully at May, and for sure by indoor conference, I think we'll see a lot of improvements individually and for the ones that were here last year.
For Woolery, he finds it tremendously rewarding to work with the student athletes and teach them about the finer points of their craft. And he believes that through hard work, they can achieve the heights that he achieved in his time at the university.
I like working with them because I get to push them a little bit. Because sometimes all they need is a little push to get over the edge and get another level of competition. My biggest competition experience is really making nationals. There's no really better feeling than making nationals, to be among the elites of the elites in the university. And I want all of my athletes to have a feel of that. Just being at nationals is something you can't really explain. It's a big feeling to be among the best.
He's brought the aspirations that he had himself as an athlete, and he's put them over to the kids. In other words, it's like, look, I had to work hard. You're going to have to work hard. If I say we're got practice at 7 a.m., we got practice at 7 a.m. If you're not going to come at 7 a.m., well, then fine, don't come at all. He's got the attitude that the kids have responded well to, and as a result of that, we're seeing improvements, and I expect in the next 2 or 3, 4 years to see, a multitude of improvements. I'm quite happy with the direction we're taking.
For Islanders Insider, I'm Matt Brady. We'll be right back after this.
Welcome back to Islanders Insiders. We come to you from the locker room once again. We're joined by the head coach of Islanders women's basketball at this time, head coach Royce Chadwick. Coach.
Hey, Stephen, how you doing?
Doing all right. Doing all right. Tough week this week as you faced off against really two of the tougher teams in the Southland Conference back at the American Bank Center.
Well, Oral Roberts, a very good basketball team, got prolific scorers, got a senior-laden team, very good at catching and shooting the basketball, got a really good 2-3 zone trap. They bring a lot of things to the table that we don't handle very well. We're not real good when people put a lot of pressure on us, and when you can really shoot it and you're big, we have a hard time getting out there and contesting everything. Central Arkansas, extremely physical. They never let you take a breath. They keep the pressure on you the whole way. 5 of their top 6 girls are seniors, and they really took us out of what we wanted to do. So we were very fortunate, we thought, to be able to stand with them toe-to-toe for the first 20 minutes and slug it out. But the second half, both teams really wore us down with their experience.
As a matter of fact, women's basketball, your squad's been showing some glimpses, of some stellar play. Matter of fact, leading after the first half in the last 3 contests, but unfortunately struggling to put 2 halves together. What are your thoughts on this kind of strange phenomenon?
Well, early in the season, we were, going out and having 4 or 5 possessions in a row where somebody made an error. Somebody had a mental lapse on the defensive end, and then it'd be somebody else on the offensive end. We're in a situation right now where we can actually go down and play 5-on-5 perfect offense for this possession, but the next possession we'll have a breakdown. Then we're doing the same thing defensively. We'll have one girl break down, and the next time it'll be somebody else. But 3 weeks ago, we were having 2 and 3 people break down on each possession. So we're getting better, and we're able to hold our own with our toughness in the first half. And in the second half, when the pressure gets on and things get were a little bit tougher and a lot more physically straining and mentally straining, we have cratered in.
Now, defensively, it seems like your team has progressed the most throughout the season. They give you a solid effort each and every night. Like you said, there's a breakdown here and there, but as far as effort, as far as girls giving it about everything they have physically, it seems like they do a pretty good job with that.
Well, they have been resilient. No matter what situation, they have tried as hard as they possibly could. But I'll tell you, Stephen, it doesn't take a lot of talent to play defense. The more talented you are defensively, the more you can extend that defense, the more pressure you can put on, and the more physical you can play. But you can take just the average person, and they can play defense if they want to. Offense, on the other hand, takes a whole lot more talent, takes a whole lot more skill, takes a whole lot more upbringing. It's a situation where you have to have some basketball knowledge. You got to really work on your game on the offensive end. Defensively, I think as a coach, we can really, really polish you up. Offensively, if you can't shoot it, we're going to have a hard time teaching you to shoot the basketball at this level. You have to have gotten that in the 7th and 8th grade. So defensively, I think we're getting better with every practice that we have. And, hopefully over the next 12 games, we're going to continue to improve, and we'll be able to do some things as we go down the stretch.
So defensive effort is a want-to situation. So is rebounding. And I know rebounding has still been one of those things that has been driving you a little bit crazy at times, because it seems like the opponents are getting that key offensive board when they need it.
Well, the two teams that we played this weekend, you're talking about Oral Roberts, they're huge. And Central Arkansas probably has the best post game in the league. They muscled us around. Ashante Plummer is going to be a very good post player. She is an 18-year-old freshman that started playing basketball when she was a sophomore in high school and started lifting weights this summer, and has never lifted weights before, and she gets shoved around an awful lot. But to her credit, she has been resilient and never cratered. She keeps fighting back even though she's outgunned. And we're going to get better rebounding the basketball as we get a little bit stronger and we get a little bit older with our young kids.
Well, where's the most growth on this team from a player and as a team overall?
Well, I think, first of all, we've grown defensively. We were not very good defensively early in the year, and we've gotten better as we've gone. And I think that we've become more accountable to each other on the defensive end, where I know, we've influenced everything baseline, and I know if I send this girl baseline with the basketball, you'll be there to help me. And so that's what we're trying to develop with our team, is an accountability to each other, and I think that we are growing by leaps and bounds in that capacity.
Earlier in the show, I talked with Coach Wilson about, traveling to Louisiana. That's what's up next. Trip to 2 games, southeastern Louisiana and Nicholls State. Tell us a little bit about both the programs and the teams you're facing.
Well, it's probably the hardest trip that there is. If you've ever been on Nicholls campus, you know that their gym is a unique place to play. You traditionally see officials that you don't necessarily see during the course of the year because of travel constraints, and they're going to call it a specific way, and you have to adjust. The more experienced your players are, the more knowledge your players have, the faster they adjust. I was at Stephen F. Austin 7 years. We were never ahead of Nicholls at the half, ever. You have to go down there and you have to go through the adversity, and you have to adjust. And adjusting on the fly with inexperienced players is very difficult to do. So it's a long trip. It's a very unique place to play, and there's just a lot of adjusting that you have to do, and hopefully we'll get that done.
As a coach, well, you got to wear a lot of hats. You're a psychologist, you're a coach, you're a tactician. There's so many different things. What is probably the easiest thing about being the coach, and definitely the most difficult thing about being a head coach?
Well, the easiest thing is we get to hang out with young individuals who bring a lot of enthusiasm to life, and we have opportunities to be around young people that are molding and developing, and you just pray every day that you have that opportunity to help mold an individual into a good Christian young adult, and you prepare them for the next level. The worst thing is, every morning before you really get your eyes good and open, you know what your record is. And for 28 years or whatever, we've averaged about 20 wins a year, and we're not going to get there this year. And it's very hard to swallow. Before your feet hit the floor in the morning, you know where you sit record-wise, and I hate it. I hate it for the people that support us and have backed us, and they've been so gracious, like, Coach, you're going to get your players in here and you're going to get it going. That doesn't change the fact that we got to go win right now, and we're working as hard as we can to change that, and we're going to get the job done, or we're going to die trying, one of the two. So we will put a respectable product on this basketball court, and I hope we do it tomorrow. If we don't, we'll do it the next day. If we don't, we'll do it the next day, because it eats me alive.
Definitely some challenges, no doubt. Coach, thank you.
Thank you, Stephen.
When we come back with Islanders Insider, we'll bring you up to speed on what's next for Islander athletics. Stay with us. More Islanders Insider to come. Welcome back to Islanders Insider as we wrap things up today. Again, special thanks to our coaches, Royce Chadwick and Willis Wilson of women's and men's basketball, and also to Hickel Woolery, letting us feature his life and his return to A&M Corpus Christi. But right now, let's look forward to the upcoming schedule for Islander athletics. On Thursday, January 24th, the men's and women's basketball teams head on the road as they take on the Nichols Colonels. Women's basketball starts at 5:30, while the men will take the court at 7:30. Then on Saturday, January 26th, they'll continue on their Louisiana swing as they head to Hammond, Louisiana to face Southeastern Louisiana. 2 o'clock start for the women. The men take the floor at 4 o'clock. On Sunday, women's tennis opens up their spring schedule as they travel to the University of Houston. That's a 2 o'clock start time. And then on Wednesday, January 30th, the men's tennis team continues their spring season as they travel to Fort Worth to take on TCU. And then we bring it back to campus on Friday, February 1st, as Islanders women's basketball hosts Sam Houston State at 7 o'clock in the Dugan Wellness Center. Then on Saturday, February 2nd, men's basketball will also take on the Bearcats as they host them at the Dugan at 1 o'clock. Once again, special thanks to our guests here today, the head coaches of men's and women's basketball. Special thanks to you for tuning in. And of course, for more information on all things Islanders, you can check in at www.goislanders.com. I'm Stephen King, coming to you from the locker room. This has been Islanders Insider.